Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie,
And
and
we're
we're Witches Talking Tarot.
And today we are talking about using the power of storms in your craft. So, like all sorts of different power of storms. Yeah, we did a water episode, water magic back in season 1, and you should totally check that out. I think it's called Wet and Wild, but I'm not positive. This is going to be different. This is going to be about different ways that you can use storms in your magic. What do I mean? Keep listening and you'll see.
So, the first thing that I want to talk about with storm magic is practicing during a storm. Personally, I feel like the electricity and energy of the storm just intensifies.
Yes.
It just intensifies. It does. It does because there's so much energy going on outside and you're casting or you're doing a ritual
Because
and that
you're
energy.
feeding on that energy,
Yes.
which is exactly why I wanted to do this episode,
Right.
because that's exactly right. Like, I think a lot of people are intimidated about tapping into that energy.
And I get
They're
that it's
afraid of
chaotic
the
energy.
idea
It's
of-
chaotic energy.
But at the same time, it doesn't have to be chaotic energy because, like, so you enjoy tornado weather.
I love
A lot of
tornado
people
weather.
are terrified of tornado weather. I love it when it is hot and humid and then the fucking lightning breaks out and all of a sudden you get that warm rain, that warm rain that you go outside and you dance in with all your clothes on, and your neighbors think you're a little bit crazy, but they've been your neighbors for a couple years, so they know you're on the weird side, so they're not that surprised because it's not a cold rain. Like that is Florida rain, and it's my favorite.
My favorite tornado weather is when it's so nice and it's like 66 degrees and you're sitting on your porch and it's gray outside and you know the storm is coming and the wind is blowing and it's blowing so hard you feel the wind chines on your porch.
And there's that little bit of tinge of green.
Yes.
Of everything.
Yes. Oh, I love it. And the energy is just
it's yellow.
building.
When it's a tinge of yellow, it's a little bit scurry.
Yeah.
Like the green is, even though the green looks more eerie, the yellow is scarier because the worst weather comes with the yellow.
Well,
in my experience, I don't know about
No,
yours.
absolutely, because I was in a tornado and I heard it outside. I recorded it. It's on my TikTok, or not my TikTok. It's on my X from like years ago.
Fuck yeah.
And then we went outside and everything was yellow. It was as if they put it was as if they put Instagram filter over everything.
Well, it's as if, like, for me, that level of yellow that we're talking about, it's always as if you walked outside into the Wizard of Oz.
You think so?
Yes.
The yellow brick road?
No, the stormy part of what it looks like. And granted, I know you don't see that part in color. That part is black and white. But that's what that yellow makes me think of. If that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense.
Because I was like, that sounds crazy, actually.
I used to have a really big porch, and I miss my porch, and I would sit on that porch on, like, a really comfortable chair, and I would just watch as the storm gathered and just feel that energy and just listen to the wind chimes. And I guess that's really the build up. Then if you do meditation during that, and then you release as the storm comes.
The storm,
yes,
so you can use it. And I'm glad you brought that up, because the calm before the storm is a perfect time to set your intention, get all your items together for your working, so that you can really harness that storm energy from a place of power, a place of preparedness, right? Because how do we weather the storm the best? By being prepared for it.
Right.
But, like, I feel what you're saying, because in the very similar way in Florida weather, because, like, my favorite weather is kind of the same, but in Florida, and there's no tornado coming.
Just a hurricane.
No, not hurricane weather. I'm not talking about hurricane weather. I'm talking about in Florida, like, every day, most of the time, in the places in Florida that I spend time in, they're going to have a daily rain shower at about somewhere between 3 and 5 o'clock. And so all day long, it's been really humid, and, like, the humidity, like, grows and grows as the heat grows and grows. And then you get to a point where, the wind sometimes starts calming down, and you see the clouds getting darker, and you see lightning off in the distance, and there's this feeling in the air, and it's not just a feeling. I love smelling the
Oh,
coming rain.
absolutely.
Not the smell of rain itself, but the smell
coming
of it
rain.
coming. And if you know what that smells like, again, you can use that to your advantage from a power and
Ground.
preparedness
Right.
standpoint. Yes, exactly. You can get ready to do a working, because here's the thing. A lot of people don't like the weather that we're talking about, but we do enjoy that weather. And we have specific connotations that we each associate with that weather. And that's the kind of thing you can do a working with. That's the kind of thing you can harness. What connotations do you have for the weather of a building tornado storm or the tornado itself? Like what do you think? Like, if you were going to use that weather to do a working, what would you choose?
So, since the energy is so strong, I would personally do a protection spell, just because I
Okay.
feel like I could harness that energy and put all that energy and strength behind a protection spell.
I love it.
But you mentioned earlier cleansing.
Yes.
Cleansing is just fantastic for this type
Yes.
of weather as well.
I agree.
You know,
Well, and also you say protection, right? And that tornado energy. And think about it, like harnessing that tornado energy to put a protective cyclone around your own
around your
home,
home.
a barrier of whipping wind. So
Yes.
it's not intentionally hurting anybody, but if something bad comes into that space, it's going to cleanse the shit right off of it. It's going to strip it bare.
Mm-hmm.
And now whatever passes through that boundary into your space
Mm-hmm.
has been cleaned and
Mhm.
picked clean by that tornado, just like the trees here in Joplin.
That's dark. But
is.
I
Still
do
cry about
no,
the
I
Joplin
do love
tornado.
that.
Sorry,
I
guys.
do love that because I've put up a similar protection spell, and I feel comfortable sharing because it's okay. But it was with fire. And it was a whipping wildfire all around my home, and whatever goes in is just cleansed away. And you
Yes.
say a storm, and I'm like, shit, I should do that on top. And then I'm like, oh shit, now I got to do something for like a third one. I'm like, what could
Yeah.
that be? Oh,
Earth, air, fire, water.
Yeah.
So earth, you could do one below in the earth.
or would you
almost like
consider
a
a protection
moat.
powder being like a
Oh yeah, that would be like
Earth?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
that-
absolutely. Because like literally, you'd have the four elements. Because in the fire, you've got the fire, but you've also got air because you're talking about it with
Right.
In
the
the
wind.
storm, you've got the wind and the rain. So you've got fire,
and water.
air, and water all
Mhm.
covered in those three. So you just add in earth, and you've got earth, air, fire, and water protection all
Right.
around your
I
home
love that
as a
elemental
boundary.
protection.
Yes. I
Oh
do
my
too.
god, you could totally do that.
You could. Okay, and like maybe this is in poor taste. I don't live anywhere where there are wildfires, but again, like if you can harness that energy if you live in that area, and again, I don't mean that in poor
Well,
taste,
and that
guys.
energy
I
would
am
be
not
That energy would be of
A
a cleansing, destruction, purification.
not
I
just
say
but
destruction.
like burning bridges
Yes.
that are no longer wanted, things that
Right.
no longer serve you.
Mhm.
That kind of destruction.
Well, and I say destruction
Like
in the
healthy
sense
destruction.
that Hinduism, Shiva is the creator and the
Destroyer?
Is it? I know Shiva's the destroyer. I don't know if they're also the creator. I think so, but I know they're definitely the destroyer. It's
Yeah,
the
no,
same. You know what I mean? If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, please.
Yeah. But anyway, the point is you need a creator and a destroyer. And I feel like what happens with the wildfire? It destroys, but it creates.
Leaves room for new growth.
Yes.
And it creates
Yes.
habitats that are going to bring in new species,
Mhm.
and new things are going to take
The
over.
plants are going to grow
Exactly,
stronger. Yes.
The ash is going to feed
Mhm.
the earth and make
Yes.
it a healthier environment. Again, we don't mean this in poor taste. If you live
No.
in an area where there are wildfires, we are not trying to minimize anything that you
We're
have
just talking
personally
about
suffered.
harvesting energy
Yes,
spiritually.
yes.
So back on
Please,
the
no
subject
offense
of
intended.
storms.
storms.
So some people collect storm water. Now what you can do with this is some people use storm water for hexes. I get it. It's a chaotic energy. It's a destructive energy. It's not something I personally would use
And
storm
that
water
is why
for.
I want to do this episode, because also most of the time when you look up using stump water, bog water, storm water, it's always for baneful magic. And No
It doesn't
hate
have
if
to
you use
be.
baneful magic. A lot of people see like protection spells as baneful magic, reversing spells as baneful magic. So it's fine. I'm not like picking on baneful magic. Don't misunderstand. But because I see storms as cleansing and fertilizing the land, I would use stormwater, and I have used stormwater for cleansing and purification rituals. I will use
Oh,
stormwater
absolutely.
for fertility things with my plants. With my plants. I don't need none of that shit.
I
got
totally
4 girls.
use the.
But
I mean, the water to water your plants. Yeah, that's a great
yeah,
idea.
exactly. It's like right. And like you can use stormwater like you can use stormwater in all sorts of different ways for your magic if you're an artist, right? You've seen the thing about using moon water. You can use stormwater and really incorporate that energy of the storm into your painting of a storm.
Unfortunately, no, it's okay. Unfortunately, unlike moon water, I personally would not suggest ingesting stormwater simply because of pollution.
That's why I said painting. Like 'cause you can
Painting.
use it for rinsing.
I know
with
you said that,
brushes.
and you mentioned moon water. I know people use moon water to make their coffee or to make their tea or to
Yeah,
drink. I know
right.
you do. But unfortunately, there's so much pollution in this world. Thanks, everyone.
Now some people collect stormwater and purify it.
Right,
Now,
that's
you could drink
awesome.
that. But like just because it's stormwater doesn't mean it's good to have. Because also think about it, when you're collecting that stormwater, it has passed through all these layers of pollution, like Maddie said. But also now it's exposed to different insect that might lay larvae in that water that's naked to the naked human eye can't see, but you don't want to ingest it. You know what I
Right, you
mean?
don't want to get a
So, like,
parasite.
you gotta if you want to use stormwater internally, you have to purify it no matter how clean you think it is, unless you're like standing outside and collecting it in your mouth, in which case like no hate, I do that.
I've done it before. It's not a big
hate.
deal, but I totally get what you're saying though, for real. Let's see, what else can we say about
storms? You've got the element of water, so you can collect storm water. You can also collect storm water from different places, like stump water, for example. Stump water is generally speaking storm water
Right.
that has washed all the way down a tree and collected at the base of this tree, right? So this is water that holds the energy of the storm, but it also holds the energy of cleansing that tree, or it holds the energy that tree has been putting off vibrationally into the water as it's collected it. So there's all sorts of different connotations.
So I was
that
gonna
you can
say,
put on these things.
I was going to say, well, stump water just sounds really stagnant to me. It sounds like really stagnant energy. But like you said, it's in a tree. The tree is not stagnant. It's standing still, but the tree is constantly feeding it energy.
Right, because like usually most people would use stump water for things like that are because
Hexes, or I would use it, or I wouldn't use it. This just popped into my head, so feel free to take the idea, I guess. Stump water to confuse people.
Yeah,
Or yeah, that's what I would use. I mean,
that's a good idea.
because I feel like, again, it's that stagnant energy. It's that going in a circle type energy.
Yeah.
But like you said, or like I just said, like you mentioned that I just said, it's really not stagnant energy, because the tree, assuming the tree is alive,
Right.
is constantly moving with energy.
Which makes sense as to why you might use it for confusing someone, because it holds that energy in the fact of what it is. It's stagnant water in a living thing, but it was living water as it got to the place it's at. And so is it living? Is it stagnant? And some people are like, Amber, no, water is living.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
But,
There are definitely. I'm sorry, I won't get on that.
No,
but
you're
I'm.
good.
You just said
Probably a
I'm
good
like.
episode to do it if you want,
But again, I'm gonna say don't ingest stagnant water.
yeah, don't ingest stagnant water, but also like further take this if you like this discussion, take it somewhere further. Like, what does it mean to you? Like, what do you think of when you think of stump water? And not just what you've looked up that is used in Appalachian magic or granny magic or hoodoo. Like, what are the connotations that you put on it? Because we all have different mental associations with a storm. People post on social media all the time about different kinds of weather that are coming through. And some people are like, oh, yay, I love it when it snows.
That's me. I love it when it snows.
And some people are like, oh no, the giant flurries of death, and it's like, I love it when it snows. I won't get out in the ice and bullshit anymore because I slipped and broke my arm a couple years ago. And
I'm still shocked. No, you're not a weenie. That was a fucking traumatic experience.
Yeah, like I almost bit my tongue out, guys.
Like literally, that was traumatic. I still can't believe that happened.
I know. And like, I hate, yeah. Anyway, so like, I don't hate it when it snows, but I won't go out my back door when it snows either because that's where I slipped and fell. But the point is, like, some people hate it when it snows. Some people don't hate it when it snows. So, like, whatever your association with the particular kind of stormy weather.
Sorry,
you can harness it.
While you're talking, how the hell did she do that?
Yeah, I know. Such a good job on the
she
lips,
did.
right?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
I got new Valentine's.
Wasn't sure if they were a sticker or did she hand them?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So for storm magic, so here's something I think, speaking of Valentine's Day, so let's get on the topic of couples. I think you could use storm magic in a baneful spell to cause arguments.
Oh, absolutely.
You could use it to cause arguments or cutting ties.
Because, like, think about it, like, in a severe enough storm, like, limbs get broken off of trees and things like that. So, like,
well, and I just think, do you think the energy of a storm could affect a household? So let's say there's storm building, a tornado's about to come, and it's like you and your husband are just really going at it, fighting. Could it be that you guys are subconsciously picking up on that storm? You think
agree.
so?
I 100% think so. Because like you said earlier when we weren't recording, you were like, ha ha ha, I blame everything on the weather. And
I do blame everything on the
everything.
It so really does.
It makes sense because, like, okay, there is a storm building, right? Okay, take it back to ancient man, right? There's a storm building. They're looking at the sky. They're seeing those dark clouds come. They're knowing they've got to get back to their shelter before that weather happens, right? Or they're in their less sturdy structure than what we currently live in, right? And they're watching this storm build. It is building tension.
Right.
It is building, like, sometimes it can bring you closer together, especially like a snowstorm.
Sexually. Exactly. There's a reason why it's like that little role play. Oh, we're stormed in. We can't go anywhere. Exactly. Because it is building that tension. It can be angry tension. Right. Passion. Right. So it can either be angry passion or it can be sexy passion.
Well, and if you think about it, that relates perfectly to storms and the world's role anyway, because we have the fertile earth, and without the rains coming down, there is no fertility happening. There is no baby making happening.
So would you use
level alone, because we have to have that cycle of the waters being cleansed, being taken back up into the sky, being cleansed in that manner as well, coming back down, feeding the earth, and going through that whole cycle, right? Like that cycle of condensation and precipitation and all that shit, that is 100% necessary for life on Earth to proliferate. So to me, it only makes sense that energy also encourages not just humans, but other animals too, to proliferate.
So would you use storm water in a lust spell then? I say lust, not love.
Right, because you don't want to
harvest, like, I say, or should I say an attraction spell? You want to build that energy and that tension, and I don't think this is unethical. Let's say you're married and you want to spice some things up, so you're like, I'm going to harvest this energy and make myself look and feel attractive as hell. I don't think that's unethical.
No, like,
is that glamour magic?
Maybe because, like, okay, for one, like, hurricanes are always named after people. They
used to be named after women.
Right, they did used to be named after women. I went to say that at first, and then I was like, no, they changed
it. There's like a Matthew or something.
Yeah, Hugo.
That's lame.
Like, storms were named after women, and it's fine. They associate us that way, but it's because you can blow in like a tempest.
I am not upset about it. I'm not.
Exactly. Like, I don't mind being, like, compared to the weather because, like, nature is beautiful.
And nature is a goddess. Nature is a goddess.
She is. And, like, in her most powerful aspects, yes, I want to be compared to her.
Right. Exactly. Absolutely, exactly.
Storms are power. Storms are powerful, and you can harness that power any which way you see it. You can also change the way you see storms. So if you have a problem with storms, if you don't like storms, you can change your mental connotations. Like, it's all up to you how you perceive the energy of the storm. And you can take your own power by changing your perception of the storm to appreciate it more. Without storms, we're not going to have crops. Without crops, you're going to have French fries.
So we're talking all about the exciting, intense energy of a storm. Let's talk about the calm energy of a storm for a little bit, because I know me personally, you know how I like to enjoy a storm. A good storm is a nice cup of tea, reading my book, maybe putting on a comfort movie, getting underneath a blanket, just relaxing while the storm rides out. And I love that, finding that calm within the chaos.
Well, and
I know
from
a lot of
magical
people.
perspective, I think that's a great, like, harnessing that energy before using, like, either not using the chaos at all and just harnessing the calm, but also, if you're going to use the energy of the storm, the calm before the storm is a great time to ground, to get your materials together, to decide what intention you're going to put forth into the energy.
Right.
But, like,
so, like, while you're
storms
collecting,
can be relaxing.
they
Is a
can.
thing to take away from that as well. But also, there's, like, tornado weather. There's the eye of the storm, which is deceptively calm, which would be great for deception magic.
Well,
actually,
absolutely. And I'm just like,
because it's
while
harnessing the calm.
yes. Well, and while you're harvesting your storm water, I'm assuming you're leaving a jar out to harvest, you can sit inside and enjoy a cup of tea and watch your favorite movie. Because storm weather is movie weather. We know this. Or reading weather.
Fuck
Yeah, absolutely relaxing weather. So while you're inside harvesting the calm before the storm, or the calm in between storms, outside your jar is harvesting the chaos and the
Right.
strength and the power of
And
the storm.
You're imbuing both of these energies, so the duality of the storm,
Yes.
into what you're collecting, because what you're collecting, you're already, like, in theory, let's say you've already charged your vessel, like, with the intention you want
Yes.
for that storm,
Uh-huh.
right? And so you, as a person, have that other energy that you're building, harnessing, what have you, but for that same purpose. So once you have harvested your storm water, now you go out and you release some of that calm energy into the storm water, which already contains the chaos from the storm.
Right.
And you can allow all of that duality to provide balance to your magical working.
Yes, I love that so much. I really do.
It's a
And
great idea.
something I was going to mention as well, when you're using a glass bottle to collect storm water or rainwater, be careful of the weather, because I have used a glass jar to collect storm or rainwater and woke up the next day and it was completely shattered. If the temperature drops too quickly, it'll shatter. So be mindful when you're collecting storm water. And I say that specifically because storms, what? A storm. It's pretty destructive. We're
Right.
going to be throwing shit around.
Yep,
Yes.
that's a
So
good point.
make sure that if you are going to use a glass jar, which most witches prefer, I think it's more pure when collecting.
Yeah,
just make
honestly,
sure it's
like,
put in a place where.
Try not to be preachy, but I'm like, I would not.
No, I
collect
wouldn't.
water
Not in
with- not in
plastic. No, me personally either. A lot of witches, most witches prefer glass.
If you
Just
only
make
have
sure.
access,
Yeah.
nobody-
Yeah, if you only gotta use what you can.
Exactly.
But just make sure you are conscientious of the weather. I say that, or the temperature, and make sure it's in a place where it won't get knocked over too easy, but we'll still access the water.
Yeah, and also, like, excuse me, a stainless steel pot, you could use that to collect rainwater, and then just use a funnel to pour it
absolutely.
in. Because, like, if you're worried about that, because it's a very valid thing.
It
to
totally
do.
is. It happened to me.
I've had
It
that
totally
happen as
happened.
well.
Yeah.
Like, I've had it crack because of temperature change. I didn't have it.
Was it
shattered,
moon
but
water?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was.
I had done a moon tea, and it was like right either at springtime or going into autumn time, and I woke up and my fucking thing was shattered, and I was like, dude, that was a 32-ounce fucking jar of moon tea, and it's
the
gone.
pain.
Yes, and nobody did it. It was definitely a
the
temperature
weather,
thing. Yeah.
And that happens, and so that's a very good, and you can you could use a metal pot instead, and then you just transfer it when you're ready. Maybe not for a moon tea, because you don't want it to be like
open, because
open.
my jar
Exactly.
was closed. Yeah.
Because I've many a time used a closed jar and then flip it upside down so that
Yes, perfect. Yes.
I fucking love that shit. Sorry, all of a sudden I got stuffy nose because we've been having inclement weather coming and going. So, like, what is a way that you might use the snow or the ice magically from that kind of stormy weather?
That kind of stormy weather. Okay. I think I would use the ice or the weather, or I'm sorry, the ice or the snow for protection. Or even I'm sure we've all heard of the refrigerator spell. This situation or this person is, they gotta stop. They're wrecking my life. This situation is wrecking my life. I don't know what else to do. So I would absolutely use the energy from an ice storm or a snowstorm to freeze a situation or a person, to try and put a stop to that. That's what I think I would use.
Well, and in addition, like, one thing that I've been mentally thinking about is you can use that kind of weather to slow down a spell that is going faster than you want, or has gotten out of your control, right?
Or slow down a relationship.
Exactly.
Yes, you're like, okay, this person's moving too fast. I still like them, but I kind of want to slow it down.
Cool it
yes.
off. I want it to chill out a little bit. Think about what happens to the
or
world.
an argument. Let's cool off. Let's cause, like, two people in your family are fighting. Okay, well, let's cool them the fuck off.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can use that because, like, when we get that kind of weather in a lot of places, it kind of stops the infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. It stops the businesses. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, like, from that same standpoint, you can harness that energy of let's chill it out.
Winter storms.
Yes. We're not freezing it. We're not putting it on ice, like ending a thing.
Yes.
We're just chilling a thing out. And I like bringing up because I like bringing up the argument because I hadn't thought about that. I had thought about a relationship that's going too fast, but I forgot to say that, so I'm glad you did. But I love the idea of, like, an argument that just needs to chill out. You harness the weather. Maybe you save some snow from that, and you put it in your freezer. When you need it for chill out, you just use that.
Well, and I like it, like I mentioned, the refrigerator spell. I think that would be more of a temporary refrigerator spell. Like, okay, let's calm this situation down or this person down for a while I regroup. Whereas a refrigerator spell, I think, or freezer spell would just be constant.
Well, and not just that, but okay, so you can take it a step further with that freezer spell, right? You use the outside winter weather to do the freezer spell, right? You stick it in your freezer until you can access a natural body of water. And once everything's thawing out and you can access the natural body of water, you can put that frozen, what you're wanting to completely cut ties with, and you put it in that naturally thawing body of water, and it'll carry it away from you.
I like that too.
So you can use the energy in so many different ways, and you can take our ideas, but what I would really love is for everybody to take these ideas and go further with them, make them personal, make them what you would do, not what we would do. Maybe we're not even thinking about the weather that you're thinking of, because, like, you can use like heinous mist isn't like a storm, but it's still in this same, like, maybe you feel like something's being hidden from you. You can use mist and the clearing of mist to have things illuminated for you, or vice versa. You're being secretive about something. Use that mist to help hide your intentions. Not telling you how to be shady. I'm just talking magically.
No, I totally hear you. So I'm very curious on what your thoughts are on storm weather. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us a comment. Let us know. I'm curious. Maybe you can give us an idea we didn't mention.
Right. Yeah. Like, because, like, when we think storms, like, obviously we live in Tornado Alley, so tornadoes, thunderstorms. I also brought in the mist and snowstorms, but, like, are there storms that you have in your area, like sandstorms? Didn't even think about sandstorms.
Didn't even think about that.
You can save Earth from sandstorms, not just for grounding, but for, like, other purposes. I can't think off the top of my head because I didn't think of it until this moment when I was like, oh, we never have sandstorms, but that's, like, a thing people have to experience, like, elsewhere, right? So, like, what kind of weather would you use if you're working because it's the weather where you're at?
Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're checking us out on YouTube.
Yes, and also check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Witches Talking Tarot, and we're on the X at Classiest Witches because we are the classiest witches you know. So, oh fuck!
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, Victoria.
Hey, Pam.
Hey, Death by DVD.
Thanks for joining our Patreon.
Yes, and thank you for coming to sit with us as well.